This is an iPhone for 600, this is a Samsung Galaxy for 500, and you want to get the most for your money. So, which one of these phones is the better choice? From a design perspective, we have the very obvious size difference. If you want a bigger screen, the Galaxy A56 has that. There's more we can say about the displays, but I'll get to that in just a minute. If we're talking pure design and build materials, I have to give it to the iPhone 16e. It has this sleek matte look all over, the metal frame, the frosted glass back, the buttons feel great, and this action button is programmable. My one gripe with the iPhone 16e is that it only comes in black and white. No fun allowed. The Galaxy A56 also has a metal frame and a glass back, but it is glossy. The frame also has this machined brushing, which is a bold experiment from Samsung, and I applaud them for that, but the end result looks, I don't know what, tacky? At least it's quite grippy. The volume buttons are quite hard to reach and feel a bit wobblier than the iPhone's reassuring click. That triple camera on the back may be impressive to look at, but one of these is just a macro camera, so yay. More on the cameras in a bit though. So about the displays and a final note about the design, the front bezel of the iPhone 16e may look a bit thick-ish and may have that controversial notch on top, okay, but the bezel itself is uniform all around and looks super clean and neat. The bezel on the Galaxy is all over the place. It's thinner on the sides, then a bit thicker on top, and has a very evident chin on the bottom. So with the screens, it's easy. Samsung wins, okay? It's a 6.7-inch Super AMOLED panel with a 120Hz refresh rate. You can set it up too with either punchier and very vivid colors or back to base tones. It's a prettier display, it has smoother animations and perceived faster response thanks to that refresh rate, and it's bigger, which is good for gaming, browsing, watching, right? The iPhone screen is not bad, it's still an OLED panel, colors look great, Apple's True Tone looks great, that 60Hz refresh rate, that wasn't cool in 2021, definitely not cool today. It's a 6.1-inch panel, which is like the golden middle. It's big enough to two-thumb type on your phone with convenience, yet just small enough to kind of sort of feel compact. Both screens are sharp enough. The Galaxy has 385 pixels per inch, the iPhone 16e has 457 ppi. For HDR, the A56 has a peak brightness rating of 1900 nits, much higher than the iPhone 16e's 1200 nits. Okay, good job Samsung Display, but what about the hardware underneath? Now, this is where Apple is in the lead. The iPhone 16e launched specifically to give a budget iPhone that has access to Apple Intelligence, and that will require the latest processor and slightly more RAM than usual, and Apple hates giving us RAM, so this is how much AI matters to them. Short story, the iPhone 16e has a more powerful processor. It's the same Apple A18 that beats at the heart of the iPhone 16 and 16 Pro. Well, almost the same. It has 2 less GPU cores than the 16 Pro has. Semantics, let's look at the performance. The Apple A18 runs laps around the Samsung Exynos 1580, no other way about it. In CPU tests and in GPU tests, the iPhone wins here. In real life, the Galaxy A56 does run fine with minor stutters and slowdowns when launching apps. In general, it feels smooth and responsive, especially thanks to that 120Hz display. The iPhone 16e runs faster and launches apps faster and is technically more responsive, but feels slightly sluggier with its 60Hz screen. To be fair, if you spend a few hours with 60Hz, you get used to it. I'm just a spoiled reviewer who gets to compare these side by side and go back and forth from smooth to 2019 style. Also, it's worth noting, and people hate it when I say this, the App Store is still a more robust ecosystem. Be it games, be it apps, be it subscriptions, it's still slightly better than the Play Store. Either stuff comes first to the App Store or works slightly better initially on an iPhone. I know. I am going to give the whole performance and software section to the iPhone 16e. I didn't even mention that the iPhones just get new updates exactly on time and are supported like for usually 5 years. For the Galaxy A56, Samsung promised 6 generations of OS updates, which is awesome. However, we are currently in a huge Android 15 update delay for Samsung Galaxy phones, which has users asking, what good are those promises when I have to wait for 6 or 8 months for the new Android? Hopefully this was just an AI related mishap this time and Samsung will get back on track with the updates from next generation on. Alright, it's time to talk about the cameras. Or the camera versus the camera-us. The performance from these main cameras is very comparable. During the day, both capture similar amounts of detail and both show signs of over-sharpening from scene to scene. The Galaxy does lean to cooler tones and its greens are a little skewed, but nowhere near as bad as the toxic green grass of the past Samsung phones. The iPhone 16e, as usual, has slightly warmer hues. It's also a bit more contrast-y, which we will see in the night photos in a bit. Its colors, in general, are closer to reality. At night, more differences come through. The Samsung camera is less contrasty, so it boosts shadows without burning highlights. The iPhone 16e, on the other hand, may crush shadows sometimes, but its high contrast shots have more depth to them. So it's a matter of preference, kinda. Also, the iPhone 16e shows signs of heavier sharpening in night mode photos, but the Galaxy pictures sometimes have fine details hazed up. So it's a game of give and take. Speaking of which, Samsung is giving us 2 extra cameras here, an ultra-wide angle and a macro camera, and Apple is taking features away. For example, I found out while trying to take this portrait photo of my dog that the iPhone 16e only supports portrait mode if it detects a human face in the shot. That brought me back to an old lifetime for sure. But don't get me wrong, the extra cameras on the Galaxy A56 are nothing to leer over too. Ultra-wide is nice to have, sure, macro is... In any case, I'd have to say that both phone cameras perform about the same. Maybe the iPhone 16e camera is slightly better, but the Galaxy gives you a bit more options with physical lenses and software features. So it evens out. Okay, so better display, better hardware and performance, about the same cameras. We need a tiebreaker. What about battery life? Technically, we can give this one to the Galaxy A56. If you're doing mundane things like casually browsing the web, social media, emails, chat apps, both of these phones will last you about the same. We got 17 hours from both on our browsing tests. When it comes to gaming and video streaming, the powerful A18 chip starts draining the iPhone's battery a bit faster, giving you 2 hours less screen on time. Not a huge deal if you know that you will still get the better graphics and performance, right? But hey, we're talking strictly about battery life here. The Galaxy A56 gets the soft win here, especially because it charges up to full faster than the iPhone. Still, can't give it more than a soft win because it doesn't have wireless charging, while the iPhone does. So, final verdict, 600? 500. You may feel like the iPhone is a bit overpriced here, considering what both of these phones are offering or not offering, and I can't fault you. However, this year, and maybe only this year, I am going to give it to the iPhone 16e, specifically because Apple was forced by itself to upgrade us to an A18 chip and 8 gigs of RAM at that $600 entry level price. I am thinking this is a precedent and will not happen again in the near future. However, having said that, if you still don't feel like spending any more than $500 on a phone, the Galaxy A56, it's good. You just saw how good it was. The whole video was about it. Like the video so they feed me, subscribe for more of this, and I'll see you next time. Bye!